Good morning. This week, Zara, Olivia and I will be talking to you about some pieces of Black history, police brutality and how you can help, leading on from Travis and Angus's assemblies last week. As many of us will never know how it feels like to be oppressed because of the colour of our skin, it's important to keep educating ourselves and each other so that we can do our best to create change. Today, I will be talking about a French film from 1995 called Haine, and how it's relevant to the police brutality that's still happening around the world today. I have been learning about the film in my A-level French class and thought that its themes were all too relevant to what we have seen on the news recently. Haine is about the recurring nature of hate fueled by prejudice, racism and une bavure policière, which translates to a police slip-up. A young Arabian boy is beaten into a coma by a policeman, which leads to many riots erupting in the suburbs outside Paris. He eventually dies. As you can tell from this description, this wasn't simply a police slip-up, but a conscious act of violence which ultimately led to the people of France to demand change. To put it simply, the film quotes, "La haine attire la haine," which means hatred breeds hatred. I'm sure you're all just as disgusted as I am about how shockingly similar this murder is to the more recent murders of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and the many other brutal murders that aren't covered by the media. Haine is based off the real-life murder of Makome Mbale, who was shot in police custody in 1993. Officially, his murder was ruled accidental, which is unbelievable, as this wasn't the first act of police brutality to plague the French police. In 1986, Malik Oussekine was said to have died in police custody in disputed circumstances after he was arrested for participating in a mass student protest against university reforms and immigration restrictions. His death resulted in the protests to intensify, which again reminds me of the quote, "Hatred breeds hatred." It's important to note that both of these men were men of colour, so it's undeniable that this brutality stemmed from racism, which is all too similar to the recent events that occurred in America. I hope this assembly helps people realise that police brutality and racism aren't exclusively in America, and that they aren't simply something of the past. For example, you can see how similar Makome's death is to George Floyd's. There's plenty of things you can do to help and educate other people. Olivia's assembly will be dedicated to the ways in which you can get involved. But for now, go back and watch Travis and Angus's videos from last week, or sign one of the many petitions that are out there that would force Breonna Taylor's murderers to be punished. I would like to end this assembly with a quote from Mathieu Kassovitz, the director of Haine, who says this about the film. "It's a film about police brutality in the largest sense. It's about the whole of society and not just about the hood. In France, they spend 6 months training for police to be a policeman. Then they give them a gun and put them on the streets, and I don't know that that's good enough." Thank you for listening.